How's it going, y'all? Welcome to the very first, the inaugural edition of Everipedia Insider.
Nice.
I'm your host, Rami Ezo, also one of the executive editors at Everipedia, and I'm here with the one, the only Mike G. Uh, Great to have you on the show, man.
Yeah.
We go way back to in terms of the tech days. You were quite a huge influencer on Genius when it first started and stuff like that. And that's how I got to know you. So, it's awesome to meet you in person. And despite the fact that it's not on Genius, it's on Everipedia. Um, we're doing some, I think we're doing some great stuff. I know you're doing some really great stuff. So, I just wanted to get an insider's look into uh, what it is that you're doing and where you're at with your career right now and stuff like that. So
Definitely. Yeah, appreciate you for having me. I love Everipedia all the way down back to Genius. You already know.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So just looking at my notes here, I had a couple questions just to get an insider's look about your background because I know your fans know that you grew up in Japan, in Okinawa specifically. And so what was that like for you in terms of just your childhood and how maybe like tell the audience a little bit about the experiences that you had in Japan that most people um, you know weren't that most people weren't able to have.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Japan definitely was, different from the States, just culturally, all that. And, the respect level out there is substantial. That's what you base your morals off of. So everybody out there is mad respectful, mad like polite and everything. So like
Mm.
that kind of definitely influenced like me a lot. Plus, with both of my parents being in the military, it was a respect thing alongside whatever rules that came with the speak when you're spoken to sort of thing. So it's like
Kind of a double whammy for you, huh?
yeah,
Like
definitely
with the fact that you were immersed in this culture, the Japanese culture where they take great pride in the fact that they're very respectful,
right.
and the fact that you're in the military, or that your parents were both in the military, which is unique in its own right, for sure. That was actually a follow up question that I have for you. Is basically in terms of you being a military child, after doing a little bit of research, you did quite a bit of traveling, with your parents having a military background and things like that. So I mean, I heard in another interview that you basically moved maybe like every 3 years or something like that. Is that right?
Right, correct. That's what military tours were. So I was with my mom. She did 3.5 years. Every that was her tour. So just moving around a lot. It was mostly in the States, but it's still anywhere you go is definitely different. So you have to adjust to it. So everything was kind of quick learning, quick like friendships, getting used to having to make new friends, losing friends, everything. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's how it is.
that's kind of rough. I mean, for people that are literally just stationed in one area. I mean, I don't think a lot of people actually know, how it is to actually like start a completely new life from the ground up every 3 years and having to recycle that, that or trying to revisit that mindset every time. So I mean,
Right.
it's definitely commendable, and it's probably a huge influence in terms of like the person that you became today and as an
Definitely.
artist, just to become more well in depth and things on that nature.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a good and bad, to both sides of it. Some people have never left the city they live in. So that's
Hmm.
I definitely appreciate the fact that I've had the advantage of traveling and everything, but those people might have lifelong friends or just a different experience. So it's like you garner different traits, all that attributes. So that's how it is. But you know, that's how you're made up, and everybody's different for a reason. So yeah.
Absolutely. Is there like a place in particular or a time in your life that you would consider, your favorite? Or, I mean, because obviously, like hopping around all these different places, I'm sure, one must, stand out. Or maybe, correct me if I'm wrong.
Um, Other than living in Japan, I'd have to say just like when I did graduate, it's been long enough. So when I graduated and Odd Future started touring, that's my favorite. But like during that, during the past time period, I would just say it's when I was in Japan. So because that's just the most different,
For
different side
sure.
of things. So
For sure. Yeah. No, I respect that for sure. And you mentioned Odd Future, but I wanted to backtrack a little bit, in terms of how you yourself as an artist first got started, and maybe talk a little bit about your influences, and what inspired you to actually start your journey as a musical artist. So um, I do know that you basically started maybe around like I think it was your high school years, basically starting off as a producer first, just making your own beats.
yeah,
And,
well, I actually started like doing remixes, chopped and screwed music is what I started doing. That's like I was doing that in Japan.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So this was before the Chopper Squad then.
before I joined the Chopstars, but the
Chopstars, yeah.
Chopstars have they've always been around. Shout out to OG Ron C. He's always been just holding it down. They just did Solange's release party, so
That's
it's
what's
kind of
up.
awesome. Yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah.
So yeah, so in terms of the chopped and screwed remixes, that's what you started with in terms of production at the
Right.
production level.
Yeah, and that was the direction I was headed in, and I wasn't sure what to label that as, but I just wanted to do like editing or just working with music like somehow. So that's kind of where all that transpired from.
Okay, so then, do you have any specific, I guess, like genre influences that led you into producing like the chopped and screwed remixes specifically? Like, was there a specific subgenre in hip hop or R&B or something like that you kind of centralized on or focused on for the remixes?
Not so much really. It was just the fact that I have a lot of family in the South and Florida, and my uncle listened to that, when he was riding around with us when I was young. So
Gotcha.
I've had a heavy influence of Southern rap, like Houston and Florida, all that Louisiana. But I figured like mixing that with what I did listen to, which was like Eminem and Shady Aftermath, everything in that circle. So I was like real heavy on it. So I kind of took what was hot, took what I listened to, took what did influence me, like without boundaries, and that's what I chopped and screwed because there was always a crowd for every type of song. So
For sure, there's I mean, I love that like there are two very different things that you talked about. One is the I guess the instrumental side,
right.
which is through the family that you had in the South, and then what you listen to, which is completely a different sound in Eminem.
Right.
Is there like a specific Eminem album that stands out to you, like in retrospect?
It would definitely be like the Eminem Show.
Okay.
Yeah, Marshall Mathers LP is
2002.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, next one.
That's one of my favorites as well.
For sure.
I know a lot of the like the OG rap fans. They like to listen to a lot of his older stuff from and I mean Eminem's been around for a while, and
Definitely.
he's definitely like adapted and stuff like that into a new sound. He's a producer in his own right, so
Right.
Shouts out to him. Mad respect for that,
For
definitely.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that answers all my questions in terms of the foundation. I did want to touch base a little bit about your how you got started with Odd Future, in terms of the platform that they provided for you. So I know that who was it again that basically introduced you to the other group members? I believe it was Left Brain, right?
Yeah, it was Left Brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Left Brain got you involved, and then so what was that experience like in a nutshell?
I went to high school with Left Brain.
Okay.
So yeah, I was an Odd Future fan before, meeting any of them. So just like what they were doing, because Casey Veggies was at Crenshaw High School also. So just observing the LA hip hop scene, it was just they were amongst just the top notch of what was going on. So just in terms of influence, so yeah, it was just kind of everything kind of lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely. And I mean, I know that you being in the LA scene, you have underground rappers like Vince Staples, for example, who you collaborated with,
right.
Amongst others. Is there, who would you say is your favorite track that you collaborated on as maybe a feature?
I've always appreciated my features, so it's over time it's kind of grown, but to say my favorite would be just because it's one of my favorite verses. I actually have two songs with Zion I.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like OG rap, hip hop, heads type stuff. So
that's what's up.
Yeah, one of those songs, I Heart Hip Hop, has Planet Asia on it. Gift of Gab, it's pretty tight how Amplify put it together, but that's just my favorite feature because it's my favorite verse
that
I've done. So there's that, and I mean, I have a song with Jid. I like that one. That's tight. Just a bunch of, I like my features. So
definitely. I was gonna ask you also about in terms of I think you already touched base on Chopstars and the fact that you have a lot of experience in the chopped and screwed subgenre, and you're still with Chopstars, correct?
Correct.
So, yeah, and then you've been with them for how long now?
About 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so was there I mean, in terms of how you got involved with them, how did that take place?
I was moving around, like working with a few different people, and
were you still with Odd Future at this time, by the way, or
yeah,
what?
I was. I mean, I'm with Odd Future now, so
it's
like
yeah,
it's always been. But I was working with different people. There's a guy named Seth. He manages a few artists, and he linked me with OG Ron C because he works with him.
For sure.
Yeah, so shout out to Seth.
Definitely.
Yeah, we linked at South by Southwest, and yeah,
that's coming up soon too.
Yeah.
In I think about a week's time, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You're going?
Not. I might skip it this year. I've been there every year, so
maybe
Yeah.
Maybe next year. There's always next year, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. For sure. So I guess the last question I had for you was, a question about your upcoming project. Maybe tell the audience a little something about what to expect from your new album. I heard you have like a new clothing line as well. So
Yeah, for sure. So I'm launching a Stealth Fighter brand. That'll be the main project. The name of my band also is everything. So that's what I'm working hard on.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
for sure.
When that comes through, it'll be a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then when is there like a release date for when that's coming out or when to expect it?
Not at this time, but definitely more music, this summer. So
Okay,
yeah, for
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, definitely something for you know the Chopstars and Odd Future fans
Yeah,
and Mike G fans alike to for something for them to look forward to for sure.
for sure.
Um, you know, again, shouts out to Genius for syncing this up, and we're definitely gonna uh, beef up your Everipedia page.
Nice.
With all this information, of course.
For sure.
So
And the stealth page.
and the stealth page, of course. We
All right.
definitely have to start that up and maybe get you involved. Get some verifiable information on there so that we
Sure.
can provide another outlet for people to to kind of subscribe to.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That's why Everipedia is great, man. We can do it just like that, so I'm with it.
absolutely from the ground up, community levels
For sure.
for sure. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot.
Great job, guys.
Yeah.
Rami, you're like the Arab Rob.